We are very, very fortunate to be joined by the new Carlton football coach, Josh Fraser. Good evening, Josh.
G'day, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on.
Sounds pretty cool. Going to have to get your business card changed now.
I'll get my email signature changed. But yeah, no, it's really exciting. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we've got some work in front of us, but we've made some good strides already, and something to build off. But yeah, ultimately really proud and humbled to be given this chance to coach this football club.
You definitely come across as proud and humble yourself. So it makes a perfect alignment for Carlton and, of course, you. What was the turning point for you? Of course, everyone wants to know. You were pretty consistent in your messaging. You're here to do a job as interim coach, get the best out of the players and the coaching and football department. Was there a moment, was there a conversation with someone in particular which made you turn your attention to, I think I really want to do this?
Yeah, there probably wasn't a specific moment, and I think that when you consider the length of a 14-week period of being an interim coach, it's a significant amount of time. And initially, when I said I didn't think I was ready, that's what I truly believed, and I maintained that for a large part of that 13 or 14 weeks, because I think most of my focus at that time was very much on helping the club move forward. And I guess at some point along the way, I started to think, where am I at as a coach? And if I'm not ready now, where are the gaps, and what might that look like for me? But I guess the whole way through, my whole priority has been about the club and the playing group. And I guess more recently, upon the club approaching me to see if I'd be part of this process, was when I had to really take stock and consider where I was at as a coach, and ultimately came to the conclusion I didn't think I'd be more ready if I didn't take this opportunity to go through the process.
Josh, Laura Spurway here. Congratulations on your appointment. I have to say that I was one of the people who sort of latched onto that phrase that you said, I'm not ready, when you did, because I wondered when, if ever, you would be ready. Was that you sort of doubting yourself rather than other people around you doubting that you could do the job? Because clearly there are people at the club who had the faith you could do it.
Yeah, I think, Laura, that's a fair thing at that time when I said that I wasn't ready, a fair thing for people to look at and grab onto. But, I guess, again, with the change of coach, a lot of my energy and thinking didn't necessarily go into me. It went into others, and that's probably where I never really stopped for any period of time to think about, am I ready to be a senior coach, other than to assume the role of an interim coach and do the best job I could. And again, with the benefit of some time and the chance to have some conversations, that's when it, I guess, started to crystallise for me. But I completely understand, why people at that point would have thought that, if I said I wasn't ready, they could take that as gospel. It just, I guess, again, evolved over a period of time.
So how do you present, Josh? Because, this makes good radio. Apart from putting the two open palms and going, see?
Win-loss record on the board.
There's my presentation. I just showed you on Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And I'll also add to the fact that you highlighted all the good stuff that Vossi put in around contest and clearance. You've added fundamentals, ball movement. So what did you actually present on?
I presented on the criteria, and I was big on making sure that I was exposed to the whole process. And ultimately, it was about where I saw the club and where I saw it moving forward, but also about myself as a person and a coach and my coaching philosophy. So it was a holistic approach to the club and the presentation. And again, I was pretty adamant, as the club were, that I went through that process knowing that the result could go one of two ways for me.
So further to that, part of being a leader is either knowing your flaws and fixing them yourself, or finding your gaps and getting really good people to fix those gaps. Was that part of a presentation? I've sat in on coaching interviews, and you often ask the potential new coach what would they like as far as assistance. Did you just speak to what you'd like in the football department?
Yeah, as much as I could. I mean, without the full understanding of where the football department currently sits, but I think in an ideal world you have to have an idea of what you want around you and be open with the areas you need to get better. I think the one thing the whole way along I've felt really well supported by Chris Davies, Graham Wright obviously at the club, but importantly our coaching staff as well. So I know I've got work to do. I think that's every coach would be in the same boat, but feel really well prepared to assume this role and continue to find ways for myself to get better.
Josh, you've obviously had experience at other clubs, Gold Coast, Collingwood. There's something different about Carlton, though, I feel, in terms of obviously the size of the club, the number of supporters you have, but also just how emotionally invested they seem to be in the success or lack thereof. Do you feel that difference working at Carlton, and how does it make you feel now to be at the helm of a club where I guess people have traditionally been a little bit impatient?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a real thing for our football club, and I guess what I'd love to be able to do over time is, I guess, slowly change that narrative and hopefully remove some of that baggage where we attach ourselves to a bit more of a process and building an identity and trust that when we do that at a high level, those outcomes and that success will follow. But yeah, I feel it, and it's not something that weighs me down. It's just an understanding of maybe where the club's been in the past. But myself and others are charged with the responsibility of shaping it and taking it forward. So winning clearly helps, but we need to try and remove the emotion of the wins and losses for a period of time anyway until we feel like we're building something that's sustainable.
Laura touched on, call it your journey or pathway to the Carlton coach. Of course, fantastic career at Collingwood and Gold Coast. You've coached at those two places, even at the Bull Ants as well, and then you've been in development roles. Has there been one person or one stop that has changed your philosophy on football where you've gone, hang on, that's a different way of thinking about it?
Well, I think the experience personally to coach the Bull Ants was something quite unique and incredible because it extended beyond just the coaching side of things. It went to trying to keep the club afloat and alive at that time, and ultimately working with a group of people around a strategic plan, and you're trying to bring in sponsors. So it was a real community type experience in a lot of ways, and that helped shape me a lot, that experience alone. And then again, I feel so fortunate in my coaching journeys to be involved with so many great coaches. It's really hard to pinpoint one or two. And even I go back to my playing days, and the coaches that I played under in some ways have helped shape me as well. But I guess a recency bias would be towards Collingwood, given that we're able to have success in 23. And then you balance that out with being in other environments where it's been more challenging. So I think that's important as well, to have as much varied experiences as you can, and I've been fortunate to have that.
Speaking of challenges, on the weekend was probably there's always expectations every time you go onto an AFL field, and part of one of the big clubs as well. But it felt like that was the first time there was a lot of expectation on Carlton winning and then locking up a wild card spot. You got the draw, which was good enough, but did it feel different having a different level of expectation where some would say a bit of house money if you went back 5 or 6 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's been an interesting narrative that's surrounded the club, and again, I haven't been exposed to it for long, but it's clearly something that is spoken about, and to be honest, I've probably tried to remove some of that expectation and talk, and again, attach ourselves to a style of play and a standard that we want to be held to on field. But also, the goalposts will continue to shift on us. I mean, there's been games throughout the last 13 or 14 weeks that we've been expected to win, and we've won, but you haven't won by enough. So there's always those challenges with the way people interpret it. But again, I think this group's learning how to handle different challenges, not only around results, but things that are thrown at us in games. And as much as the weekend may have been a little frustrating at times with the way we played, I thought their ability to stay resilient and connected and find a way to get a draw ultimately was a good sign and progress.
Do you think, probably because you're so well trained at it, more than most dealing with expectations? Of course, you came into the game as a number one draft pick, and that's an incredible amount of pressure for any young person. Do you feel like you've just lived in that space for so long that you probably don't know any different?
Yeah, and I think, experience where, honestly, I didn't handle it that well as a number one draft pick for a large part of my career, and it probably had a detrimental effect on my performance at different times. So I think that self-reflection and ability to, again, learn how to handle those situations, it certainly helped me in my coaching. And yeah, hopefully there's some experience and some knowledge there that I can help pass on to our playing group. But I think, again, we've got a really balanced coaching group who are really good at stripping those things back around expectation and making sure we focus on the things that are important to us and deal with what comes off the back of that.
Josh, the timing of the announcement, was the club just waiting to see what happened with that wild card and whether you got through or not, just to take the pressure off the situation a bit?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't have any line of sight on the timeline. I presented, and then once I presented, I jumped straight back into preparing for the game last weekend, and then effectively the same process for me this week, and got told on Monday. So yeah, personally, once I presented, I didn't have any line of sight on it, so I couldn't give you any insights into what they were thinking around the decision.
Who got the first phone call from you when you got the job?
My first phone call was to home, to my wife, and yeah, so obviously exciting news for them. My family have been a great support for me, so to share that with them was really important. And then, I was able to share the news with some other people who have been really important to me along the way. So,
because it's a big decision from a family point of view, isn't it? And I imagine that was in your considerations as well when you decided whether to put your hand up.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. It's that's certainly got to be a consideration. And, there's always you never quite know when your next opportunity will come, and there's only 18 or 19 of these jobs available, but you do have to consider those around you, so that was a part of it for sure.
And we've all had a bit of fun, Josh. I heard your press conference that, yes, you had to put a polo on. Has your family enjoyed the hoodied phrase?
Yeah, I'd love to think I haven't changed a lot, and I wear hoodies a fair bit anyway. So it's been a little bit different, but the family's enjoyed being part of everything to this point, and I'm hoping that they continue to enjoy the ride.
As Dennis Pagan would have said, you went down Media Street by putting a polo on. We wish you nothing but the best. It's well deserved, and go well.
Great, thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it.